So yesterday, Google had their annual I/O conference where they mainly introduced three new things. Those are Anti-Gravity 2.0 and the CLI, Google Spark, which we won't look at today, and Gemini 3.5 Flash. But yeah, there's no need to waste time, let's get straight to it. Right off the bat, when installing the new Anti-Gravity app, I wasn't able to log in. This is the first thing I tweeted. I immediately went to Twitter and complained, which is what you should do, by the way, since public pressure actually works. As you can see, this was the first impression that I had of the app. Now, this is actually 1 day later, so let's go ahead and give it a try now. Let's open Anti-Gravity. And by the way, you'll see that when I just searched Anti-Gravity, 2 anti-gravities showed up. And that is because the IDE and the agentic experience is now separated instead of like in Cursor, where it's kind of combined. This is basically how it looks like when you first open it. Now, something should strike you right away. This looks exactly like the Codex app. So if you close the sidebar and bring over Codex, they look almost the same. Like, this is ridiculous. $1 trillion company, Google is worth way more than OpenAI, by the way. They just cloning the products now. And we have to be careful. They've always been doing this. It's just now way more obvious than ever. Now, honestly, although they did clone it and they are Google, I don't want to blame them too much for it. Since at Shiori Code, we actually did something quite similar. Especially the input box. The input box, we took a lot of inspiration from Codex just because it's that good. Now for us, we do actually have other providers, for example, Kimi, Gemini, Codex, Claude, and Shiori, but they do look similar. Anyways, this was kind of a tangent, so let's go back to the Anti-Gravity app. You can go here into your conversation history, which is really weird. I already have my conversation history here. Why do we need it here too? You can just add a search box here or like a Command K window, which they have as well for some reason. Like, it's just something I found out right now. Anyways, that's really weird. Scheduled tasks copied from Codex again. Again, I won't give them too much shit for that. I did that as well. Now, one thing that's really weird about this app is that if you go over here, you have to press create project. Now, the way this app is structured is that one folder does not belong to one project specifically. So essentially, each project can have multiple folders attached to it, which is really weird, kind of intuitive if you think about it. This needs some time getting used to, right? But this is not what we're here for. We're here for the agentic capabilities of this app. So what's new in it? So essentially, what's new is that you now have the ability to control sub-agents. You can run background agents. The UI is much better than the old Anti-Gravity, even though this is still trash, honestly. Maybe trash is a bit harsh. Just not as good as Codex or Shiori Code. One thing I do really like, however, is this button right here. They call it the auxiliary pane. I just call it the artifact panel. So if you click on it, nice. You can see all the files that changed, and here you can see the actual diff. Well, that took quite some time to load, which is a bit weird. Well, yeah. What can I expect? Anyways, another cool thing are the plans. Now, I'm kind of conflicted about the plans. You can't actually toggle them manually. So if you go here, you can't type like plan or something. Like, you can't trigger plan mode. You actually have to type in first plan for a new feature or a game, and then it'll start planning on itself. And as you can see, this is quite fast. What we're using right now is Gemini 3.5 Flash on high thinking. We'll go into the details later as well, but just know this model is fine. It's nothing revolutionary though. And as you can see here, created a plan, and if we click on it, this visualization is quite nice, I have to say. I have to give them that. Let's proceed. Another cool thing is that when you scroll down, it only shows the latest user message. So I think that's copied from Cursor actually. Let's see what it did here. The diff rendering is kind of weird and very slow, but it works. Now, one thing that I do like very much about Shiori Code is that the view diff rendering is absolutely beautiful. So for this, we actually use PR diffs, which is a really good library for rendering diffs, and they're very fast. It just looks a bit better. Let's just say that. And so if we go over to the model card on artificial analysis, you can see that the input price is $1.50 per 1 million input tokens and $9 per 1 million out. That is unprecedented for a Flash model. Just for context, this is 3 times as much as the previous Flash model. One thing that is cool, it takes in video, audio, images, and text obviously. But if you know anything about AI, you know that these prices don't actually matter as much anymore. What really matters is the amount that it costs artificial analysis to run these benchmarks. And for Gemini 3.5 Flash's case, we can go to cost efficiency, and then wait, we actually need to search for cost to run. There we go. The cost to run for Gemini 3.5 Flash is $1,552. That is more than GPT-5.4 Mini on X-High Thinking, which again, this sounds like a stupid model, but 5.4 Mini is quite smart actually. And remember, this is X-High, and this is a Flash model, okay? This is not supposed to cost that much to use. It's genuinely insane, like, it almost costs double as much as Gemini 3 Pro. Well, Gemini 3.1 Pro. Finally, they dropped the preview in the model name. So previously they used to have like these weird model names like Gemini 3.1 Flash /Lite preview. Now it's just the Gemini 3.5 Flash. Done. I respect that. Anyways, let's go back and check on it. So it is done, and it generated a walkthrough. So there's this mermaid diagram, I assume at least, and this is quite nice actually. Now if we tell it to run the project, let's go ahead and see what it generated. So this is actually from a previous chat that I had with Gemini 3.5 Flash to test it. And I basically just told it, build a 2D Sakura game. Now with Sakura, I just mean this kind of Japanese vibe. And I told it what should we make it about. And it gave me a couple questions. I answered them, and it made a plan here. And it worked for 7 minutes, which this shouldn't be the case, you know? Like Claude Opus 4.7 would do this in like 3 minutes max. And it generated almost 4,000 lines of code. Anyways, let's go ahead and see how this looks like. So, the UI is fine. Well, okay, so this doesn't work. And this is actually quite consistent with all the other testing that I did with this model. And I have to say, you should not use this model, at least for coding. For other tasks, that's a different question. But for coding, please don't use it. Don't use it for UI, UX, don't use it for logic work, don't use it for backend work, don't use it for anything related to programming. It's just not very smart. So with Gemini 3.1 Pro, I had this kind of feeling that it was like the smart autist, okay? It couldn't call tools correctly, ever, but it was kind of smart. Smarter than the other models, at least. I'm very disappointed, honestly. So if we go to shiori.ai real quick, let's give this a try and see how it behaves in a general UI. So it answered pretty quickly in around 3 seconds. And one thing that I did notice with this model, it likes to use the word well. I don't know why. What are we conquering today? Let's just say something like, give me some general health tips. Very general. Let's see what it says. Now, I will almost bet you money that it's gonna be edgy in its answer. Here is the absolute baseline for human maintenance. Do these and you're doing better than 80% of the population. Drink water, sleep like you mean it, move your body, eat actual food, protect your peace. Are we trying to optimize something specific, or are we just keeping it in survival baseline mode today? It just sounds very weird. I honestly don't know how to explain it. Like if you use GPT 5.5, or actually let's just retry the prompt, it's gonna feel way more natural. And this is with no thinking now. It's just very straightforward. Now, one thing that is very, very weird and kind of bad faith almost is that if you want to use the Antigravity IDE, you actually can't do so without allowing Google to use all your data, which is just pure insanity. Like, as you can see, I'm trying to click next and it's not allowing me to do that. If I click yes, I'd like to receive product updates, still doesn't work. But if I now press yes, I agree to help improve Antigravity IDE, now it allows me to click it, which is just absurd. And even if it says I understand, I can choose to opt out later whenever I want via my settings, that is just insane. I don't want to help you gather data, okay? This is very private data that I don't want to share with you. And this is just a very scummy business practice. The fact that you can turn this off anyways later, but they're not allowing you to continue without having this on, just shows you what they think about you. This could honestly very well be like a legal thing, so if I'm wrong, do let me know. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was only the ad. Now let's get into the CLI, which is the real shit show. So if you go into the test directory again, yes, we are in the correct one. Let's open the CLI using AGY. Okay, you are currently not signed in, which is a lie, and it leaks my email. Wonderful. Can I turn this off? Info. No, I can't. So yeah, I'll have to blur this out now. Thank you very much, Google. Now this looks just like any other CLI. It's literally the same, just fucking worse. And I don't know how they managed to release this. I mean, you're gonna see things that are just gonna make you wonder, how is this a real company? If I, as a one-person, well, two-person company now, can just make a better version of Gemini, how are they managing to fuck up this bad? I don't understand it. I don't even want to say too much, man. Let's just go through an example. So let's just say, implement a new feature for this game, and we'll have high thinking on again. Let's press enter and see. First of all, this is stuck in generating. Okay, this just looks very bad. When you scroll, the input box goes to scroll with you. It looks horrendous. You can't click on this, so I don't know why it's showing thought for 2 seconds. And if you try resizing, every time it will just get rid of everything for like a second. Okay, so now it created an implementation plan. How are you going to view this plan? Well, you have to type in /artifact. Well, I have to open it first, and it opens it like this. Why? Why not just open it in an external app for me to view? Anyways, let's just say, yes, I do want to approve. What do we do now? Please let me know. Yes, that's fine. Okay, I'm kind of shocked right now. We didn't run into any bugs yet. Yesterday, when I tried this, this was a complete shit show. Like, as you can see, text was overriding and everything. What else was happening? I got these types of errors all the time. I wasn't able to log in. This happened, and so I'm kind of shocked right now that none of this is happening. I'm sure it's just a question of time or how much you actually use it. And obviously I still don't recommend you use this product. Now what happens if I type in /context? Okay, so this is quite good actually. This looks nice and it's kind of intuitive. You have a transcript mode, which is good enough. Individual quota reached. I've not used this model much. This is very weird. Okay, so the limits are also bad on top of all. Do yourself a favor and don't use this model with anti-gravity or the CLI. And I really can't stress this enough. Use Shiri Code if you want a really good experience. It's open source. You can bring all your favorite subscriptions and it actually works. But yeah, other than that, there's not much for me anymore. And if you want to give Shiri.ai a try, where you can use Gemini 3.5 Flash, here's a discount code that you can use for 50% off for your first month. And I'll see you in the next one.